Hello, welcome, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Aaron Diaz, and you're listening to episode number 28 of Live the Good Life from the podcast studios of Aaron's Wine Chronicles corporate headquarters in the heart of Washington wine country. When it comes to living the good life, driving through the vineyards and sampling delicious wines are at the top of my list. Even for those who live in Eastern Washington, though, creating a wine tasting itinerary and accommodating travel time and meals, reservations, and all of the associated logistics can be an overwhelming task, especially if you have larger groups of people. With so many amazing tasting rooms and wineries scattered about the Northwest, optimizing the driving route and customizing wine experiences takes time, it takes energy, and loads of experience if you want to do it the right way. Today, I'll be interviewing an expert when it comes to seamlessly navigating the complexities of creating awesome wine adventures for his clients. We'll be discussing his past, present, and future in the Northwest wine tour industry, his process for crafting unforgettable luxury wine tour experiences, and some of his most memorable engagements with clients. My guest today is the owner and CEO of TC Black, a luxury transportation service located right here in the Tri-Cities. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome David McLean to the show. Hey, you're a popular guy here, David.
Appreciate that. Well, I'd say I was just here for the libations, but I don't want to disrespect your show, so I'm honored to be a guest in your studio, Aaron. Thank you.
All right. Welcome. Thanks very much, David, for taking time out of your day to come down and join our podcast. Why don't you give us just a little background and introduce yourself to the audience?
My name is David McLean. I'm the owner of TC Black Transportation. Been in business for going on 7 years now, providing all manner of transportation across Eastern Washington and as far as people want to go.
Cool. Well, again, thank you for being here. It's great having you on the show. We have a tradition here at Aaron's Wine Chronicles while we are in studio. Typically, we like to have, it's our custom to have something to drink, a nice libation of some sort. If we have wine, we'll typically couple that with hors d'oeuvres and that kind of thing. But today, we've decided we're going to go with some Irish whiskey. And in this case, we have a 12-year aged yellow spot Irish whiskey over rocks. And this whiskey is aged in 3 different casks. It's a beautiful gold color here. American bourbon casks, Spanish sherry casks, and Spanish Malaga casks. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoy this. Cheers.
Cheers.
So we'll be sipping on this throughout our podcast today. So let's get this started. David, can you tell us a little bit about your family, where you grew up? Maybe start from your high school days and take us through.
Yeah, sure. Originally from Paris, Texas. Grew up in East Texas there. Mm-hmm. Graduated from the giant class of '63 as a valedictorian, so a lot to be proud of there. Top of '63.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
that's the high school. You graduated in '63.
No. 63 people. I know you're
63 people.
You're thinking I look great for my age.
I was going to say, there's no way.
I know. Thank you.
No, because you're younger than me. I know you're younger.
1993.
There you
graduated.
Go. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Joined the Navy because one of the perks of graduating as valedictorian, I got a full ride scholarship to Texas Women's University. And being a dumb guy, I kind of think of like the end of Dumb and Dumber when they have the the Hawaiian tropic sunbathing people come by and they're like, no, go that way. That was me. Instead of accepting that very generous offer to go to a women's university, I was offended because I'm like, I'm not a woman. I'd rather go join the Navy and be in a tube full of dudes.
But you did understand that you wouldn't be the only man on campus, right?
I didn't.
You didn't understand.
I did not. I didn't understand anything other than it said Texas Women's University, and I said no thanks. So a little bit of regret there, but
the horizons that could have.
Right? Who knows what? I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Good chance. Yeah. So it worked out.
So Paris, Texas. So are you a Cowboys fan?
Always Cowboys fans. All things from located in Dallas. The Rangers and the Stars and the Cowboys and the Mavericks. That's all my wheelhouse.
That's awesome. So you decided at this point that you went into the Navy. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Somehow I had Navy on the brain, and I'm not really sure why. I do remember having like this large, probably 3 or 4 foot poster board cutout kind of advertising thing in my bedroom, and it was a submarine, on the surface going through the water, like
with the wake.
With the wake, and like at a sunset. It's like Navy, and it's just my imagination was captured by submarines at that time, and I was originally for whatever reason I felt obliged to serve the country. It wasn't some super duper patriotic thing, so I don't want to pretend like I'm some super patriot. I am proud to have served my country for sure, but my first thought was I was still in high school and I was like, I'm going to join the National Guard, and because I was underage, my father was going to have to like co-sign basically.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and he was like, no, I'm not going to co-sign. When you're old enough to make the decision on your own, you're welcome to make that decision. So I had to wait, and by the time I waited, I was like, oh, okay, well, National Guard, that doesn't sound like a great idea, but what's the best of the best? I was like, the Air Force is the best of the best, of course, right? So
don't say that to the Marines. Or,
no, wait, the trick's coming here. So it's Paris, Texas, small town. We did not have an Air Force recruiter because why would they bother with Paris?
Right.
So the guy came up from basically Dallas. He drove up there, took me out to the fish fry, which is that was top dining in Paris, Texas. Go to the fish fry, and he took me out and he's like, yeah, pretty much all we do in the Air Force is play golf, and I was like, I hate golf. I don't know if I told him that, but I was kind of like, yeah, great. But I hated golf. On TV, fall asleep. I was like, I can't do golf. So I was like, okay, well, what's the next best? And I was like, okay, it's Navy, because I was too afraid to be one of the frontline Marine kind of guy. So I always say that the Air Force recruited me into the Navy.
So you come from a big family? I mean, you have brothers and sisters.
I have a younger brother, 4 years younger than me. That's the immediate family. I have a larger extended family, especially on my dad's side. My dad had, there was a family of 8 kids, so lots of extended, lots of first cousins. And pretty much all my family's back in Texas. There's a few scattered around to different places, but the majority's in Texas.
Well, first of all, I have to thank you for your service because it's close to my heart. My dad was a Navy man too. He was a vet in the Korean War back in the early 50s, and he was on an aircraft carrier, the USS Princeton. I think that they decommissioned that, at some point, and they've renamed some other ship now as the Princeton, because I think I saw a hat with USS Princeton on it, but it wasn't an aircraft carrier. It was like some destroyer or something. They renamed it. Anyway, thank you for your service. I think it is an honorable way to start your life when you're that young.
Yeah, thanks.
You're in a tube full of men. For me, that it takes a unique person. I've known other people. Excuse me. There's a guy, Larry Casaza. He's a upper manager at P&O. He was a submarine guy too, and he was one of my bosses earlier in my career. And it takes a unique person to be in a closed up, claustrophobic environment for months and months at a time without even seeing daylight half the time for long periods. For me, I'm so claustrophobic, I'd try to escape through a torpedo tube or something, I'd end up...
Well, you got to be careful, those torpedo guys. That's a whole other kind of breed, right?
Yeah.
Even within the submarine force, people, submariners, if you will, were a pretty... I don't say elite group of guys, but there are definitely factions in the submarine. I was nuclear, so I was in the engine room. Everything forward of the engine room we called coners because they were the cone of the ship.
Okay.
And so you had the torpedo men, they were their own thing. Sonar techs, they were kind of their own thing. All us nukes, we were on, weird little engineering guys. And even within that, you had the mechanics, which is what I was. You had the electricians, and then you had the reactor operators, reactor technicians. And everyone kind of had their own little niche.
Niche, yeah.
Yeah, the electricians I always thought were the hardest workers, and they were always dirty. They get off watch, and then they have to go work on like these motor generators, and then be covered in carbon soot from tearing those apart. Yeah, it's a tough job.
So, when you were out there, did you ever get involved in any dangerous encounters or anything with evil forces?
Well, one of the non-benefits of being at the back of the boat is being in charge of the nuclear side of things is even within the submarine, there's a lot of need to know.
Right.
So there I had like a certain level of clearance, but I didn't have like top secret clearance, which some of those guys, some of the coners had.
Right.
So we usually didn't know where we were at. I mean, had a general idea, hey, we're in the Pacific Ocean, we're going round and round. There might have been one time to where we were maybe tracking another boat, but of course any kind of specifics would be classified if I even knew them. And I did, but
that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's not like in the old days, like in World War II or whatever, whatever, when you see, everybody knows what's going on wherever.
No. And the type of submarine I was on was the Trident, right? So the ballistic. So they had all the nuclear weapons.
stuff.
We were a strategic deterrent. So we were out there basically just doing donuts in the Pacific Ocean, saying, don't mess with the U.S. Well, hopefully not. I mean, no one wants to push the button. I mean, no one wanted to do their job in the end, right? It's one of those things. It's like, you don't want to have to be the guy, but that's why we're there, is to keep the bad guys from messing with us. So we didn't get to go out and do things like, chase down the enemy subs or carriers or anything like that. We were out there running silent, running deep, being quiet. No one knew where we were ever.
That's crazy. Now, this was before you were married.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I got married about halfway through. So, she was with me from like the last 3 patrols, I think my wife was.
Okay. So after the Navy, what brings you to the Tri-Cities of all places?
Nuclear power, and that was the intent when I went into the Navy. I told my recruiter, I was like, he said, what do you want to do? I was like, well, what's going to set me up for success after the Navy? What's going to get me my job? Because I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that point. Right. I just knew what people told me. What my high school counselor was like, oh, engineering is the way to go. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I want to be an engineer. I didn't know. So he's like, nuclear power, that's the future. It's good paying. He's like, it's tough. It's a tough program. So I'm like, okay. So that's what got me into the nuclear side of things. And
you were valedictorian.
Yeah. Well, it was, well, just the whole process was tough. But yeah, it was, I studied more in that program than I'd had my entire life. I skated by with, God bless me with a little bit of natural intelligence. So I was able to skate through high school, cram at the last minute, and, kind of ace the test. Nuclear power, when I went to nuclear power school, I'm surrounded by these guys, right? So, and a few women there in the end when they started bringing them in as well, of super intelligent people. So I found myself going from the top of a class of 63 to the middle of a whole bunch of smart people. So it was very humbling, and I probably spent 60 hours a week between classroom and self-studying. So it was a lot.
Wow.
All that to say, nuclear power was always the end goal after the Navy. So, of course, I wanted to go back to Texas. There's a power plant south of Dallas-Fort Worth called Comanche Peak. That was my target. So I got out of the Navy, immediately packed up, moved me and my bride to Texas, and said, hey, I put in my application, and then waited. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. So finally I called. I was like, hey, are you guys hiring anytime? And they're like, oh yeah, well, we were looking for your information, and we like lost your phone number. So can you come tomorrow night for an interview? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounded a little awkward, but I did it. So I drove the couple hours to go down, interview, and then I was told afterwards, basically, all the spots kind of already been filled. They were just being nice to me because I had like a relative that worked there, and they're like, "Oh, but come back next year." And I'm like, "Man, trying to make it in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which is a pretty high rate of living there." I was like, "I can't do this for another year working." I wasn't quite minimum wage, but it was lower wages, and I was like, I can't. And I was like, well, my family's all in Texas where we wanted to be, but my wife's family all in Washington. So I was like, well, let's see what's up there.
So your wife's family's from Washington.
Correct. She's from the west side. That's where we met, got married on the west side.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, I guess if we can't be by my family, we'll go check out your family. So
is there a reactor around here somewhere?
There could be. Yeah. Energy Northwest, right. Columbia Generating Station. And so I'm like, I applied for that. They flew me in for an interview in February of 2001, and I got hired, and here I've been ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of close to what I did in nuclear power, but more on the maintenance and operations side, non-destructive examination, NDE.
Yes.
So we use that to look at the integrity of internal reactor internals and all kinds of different things, right?
And of course, all the welds after repairs.
Oh yeah, all the welds and all of that. Right.
Sorry, there's too much porosity. Drill it out and do it again.
That was basically the bulk of my career, working on the science and engineering side to support the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And they're watching over all of our commercial plants.
That's correct.
So, yeah, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So you're raising your family. You're in the Tri-Cities. Take me from there.
Yeah. So we had a couple daughters. So we were raising family. I'm totally happy going to work, doing my, let's say 40 a week. It was a little more. It's rotating shift work. So 12-hour days and nights. But I was always happy to do what I was told, as long as I was doing something I enjoyed, and I did. I enjoyed the nuclear power life, but just going in, punching the clock, having someone say, "Hey, go do this," and I would go do that, and go home at the end of the day. No big deal for me. Then, for whatever reason, one day I decided to, when Uber came to the Tri-Cities, I was like, "Oh, I should try that." I don't know why. Good radio advertising with them, I guess. Subliminal messages, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, "Well, I should try that." And as long as I get back my my $25 inspection fee, then we'll call it good. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Right.
And man, I got hooked bad. I kind of a bit of an addictive personality, and when I do something, I just kind of go all in excessively. So I was Ubering. If I wasn't at work, I was Ubering. I'd have that app on, that ping would go off, and I'd get an adrenaline surge. And of course, it was. I learned later it was too much for the family. I was
going to say that at some point that has an impact on.
Oh, it totally did.
FaceTime with the wife and the kids and everything, right?
Yep. So that had its own set of negative consequences. But that did lead me towards what I'm doing now. I kind of got that small business. Even though I didn't know it at the time, that this was laying the groundwork for TC Black, because I did everything passionately. Right, I'm driving around people in my big black F-150 pickup truck, perfectly clean inside and out, getting paid a dumb wage. I lost a lot of money Ubering because of the miles I put on the vehicle, driving back and forth across the Tri-Cities. But I loved it, and I loved meeting the new people and stuff. And I was passionate about Ubering and people, and it was new to Tri-Cities, and a lot of people here didn't know what Ubering was. And Uber is scary. City of Pasco were the last ones on board, right? There was like, well, there was an Uber driver in some other country around the world, and they killed somebody. I'm like, yeah, there's a taxi driver that killed somebody. There's a random engineer. Pick a profession.
Right.
There's crazy people everywhere,
exactly.
right? But it's a drop in the bucket, right? It's like look at the numbers, right? It's nothing. So I was a big advocate for Uber. I created a Facebook page and called it Uber Tri-Cities. I called it Uber 509.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So no one who knew any different would think that I worked for official Uber corporate. I presented a super duper official, fancy page. Everything was I was very politically correct. I mean, it was spot on. I did a really good job. And I adopted it. So when Pasco was really struggling to get going, I would attend the city council meetings. I got up in front of them and spoke and gave, hey, here's people want this and you should have it. And I'm also trying to drum up, work for all those Uber drivers, and adopted a highway. That was my big crowning moment. I was like, how can I really rub it in Pasco's face? It's like, I'll adopt a highway. You'll have Uber drivers cleaning up your highway, and you won't allow us to come pick up people from the airport. And I remember talking to some of my friends on the Pasco police force, and they said they would drive past the signs that said Uber Tri-Cities adopted the highway.
When was this? What time frame was this?
That would have been 2017,
okay.
16,
so
17.
Recently, within the last decade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right after Uber started here.
My middle brother was a Pasco cop for many years, and then became a DEA agent. So I knew a lot of Pasco cops and stuff. But yes, if you ask Pasco cops, probably.
Yeah, Pasco. That's a good force.
So what led you to leave Energy Northwest? Is that where you were at? You were at Energy Northwest, right, or Columbia Generating Station?
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was there. Like I said, I'd got my taste for driving people. So I actually started the company before I left. We were taking our 25th anniversary trip, my wife and I, to New York City, and met up with a friend we'd met a long time ago, and he worked with corporate Nike, and they just opened up the Nike store in New York City. And he's like, hey, come on down, I'll give you a tour and show you around. And I went there, and also at the same time, I had just got kicked off of the Uber platform because there was a glitch. They did my annual background check. It came back, his driver's license expired 2 years ago, when actually it just got renewed 2 years ago. So their background system glitched out. They immediately deactivated me within 2 hours. This is 2 a.m. Yeah. The background check, people were like, never mind, all's good. And it took Uber a month to reinstate me.
Oh,
so that was a side hustle for me. It didn't matter for me, other than hey, I liked doing it. Imagine someone who out there is trying to make a living,
right? All of a sudden now,
that's the way the platform worked, right? Yeah. It's a big corporation they're being run by people that aren't here, and they don't know people, or they don't have relationships, and so it's no skin off their teeth to just cut the legs out underneath somebody. So I was kind of, I was telling my buddy Jeff this story, and I was like, yeah, you should start your own Uber fleet, right? With what you've done with, sponsoring Uber locally and all that kind of stuff. And because apparently it's a thing. People who can't afford a new enough car to Uber can go to an Uber master. So imagine me, I go and I buy 10 vehicles, and now I lease them out to Uber drivers to drive.
Okay.
Some people need those middlemen if they can't afford a car.
Right.
He said, you should do that. I was like, nah, it's a Tri-Cities. There's not a market for that. But we don't have Uber Black. We don't have anything besides Uber X, cheap, and Uber XL minivan. And so I'm like, well, I could start an Uber Black kind of service. So I'll do a black car. So I formulated the plan flying back from New York City. I'm watching. It's hilarious. I watched a movie, and on the screen pops up a Tom Cruise movie and Jamie Foxx called Collateral, where Jamie Foxx is a cab driver dreaming of starting his own limo company, and Tom Cruise is like a bad guy going around killing everybody.
Right.
But I was like, it's a sign, it's inspiration. Jamie Foxx trying to start a company. I should start my own company. This is done. And within 2 weeks, I had my first car, my Volvo S90, ordered. I had my business license in effect, and I hit the ground running. So yeah, within 2 weeks of having that conversation, TC Black was born. So pretty fast.
Did you do the LLC stuff? You got your company in place and all that?
Yeah, I started sole prop. The next year I moved to LLC, and now I'm currently an S corp. So yeah, as I've learned, right, it's been a learning process. I didn't have any kind of coach or go to any kind of classes. I've been winging it for 6 years.
Yeah. Kind of me too, but even though I'm just a one-man operation, I'm not nearly as complex as you, but yeah. So now we're into TC Black. So we've gotten you from the roasted nuts and the scotch to you went to the Navy and you graduated valedictorian. You're now owner, king, and CEO of TC Black. Yeah. And you do have a reputation out there, you know. It's a cool one.
Okay, there we go. I was waiting for it. I was like,
you're the man, and
aren't always good.
You're the man, and so are your people.
I appreciate that.
So let's talk a little bit about the details of TC Black. You put it together. You just mentioned 6, 7, maybe 8, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, 6, 7
at this stage. The types of services that you offer. It's not all just focused on wine industry tours, right?
No.
So help me understand that.
Basically, it's learned as you go, right? With the intention of I started out as being an Uber Black, was just to be doing the same thing I was doing as Uber, just driving people around for whatever reason. Typically, people who had been consuming alcohol or whatever, or maybe they didn't have a vehicle, not knowing what I was getting into. So my service grew, and my services that I offered basically happened out of demand and necessity. All that to say, there's really no limit on what I would do as far as if it needs wheels. If it needs wheels, I'll do it. So what that has become on a regular basis is, of course, airport transportation. Right? Pick up at 3:30 in the morning. Nobody wants to do that. What are your odds of getting picked up by whoever you book? It's kind of scary. Most people are like, I don't want to chance it. They just go park their car at the airport there. And
for years, even just a regular taxi would take maybe 30 minutes or more just to get to where you're at.
Yeah. And again, and a lot of that, and I hate to just blame, the taxi services or whatever. It's the Tri-Cities. Our market is very, and we learned this as an Uber driver.
Demographics, right?
It's very up and down, right? It's like, I was so, again, back to Uber, I was so addicting to Ubering that I would get up I would want to get those early morning runs. So I'd get up at 3:30 in the morning before I went out to work at Energy Northwest at 6 in the morning, hoping to get an airport ride or two before I went. And sometimes I would. And then I'd go 3 days in a row and get nothing. I'm like, why am I losing 2 to 3 hours of sleep so I can go make $12? I'm like, this is ridiculous, right? So that's just the way the Tri-Cities operates as far as how busy we are. So all that to say, doing the airport transportation for people, just regular people, right? I mean, I know I do a lot of VIPs too, but just regular old people. I try to keep the pricing what it needs to be to run the service. I don't artificially inflate it because we're luxury. Yeah. Right, some luxury brands price because they are luxury, right? Because of the name that's on there. We try to stay priced of what it takes to run TC Black. So don't be afraid, regular people. If you just want to go to the airport, we can take good care of you. So to from the airport, of course, the wine tours, last minute scary trips to Seattle. Somebody is afraid of flying, go to Seattle or Portland. Executive people come in and they need to tour different sites, or farmers come in and people who own the farms or the larger picture, like all the potatoes or that kind of thing, and they want to go visit all their different farms, right? So they got that kind of executive type shuttling.
So that was one of my other questions, was coverage area. I mean, typically you're focused in Eastern Washington, but the coverage area does expand some. Right?
Oh yeah, it goes as far as somebody wants to go. I mean, I don't like go out of town. Like, I don't go to Seattle and then drive around Seattle doing business. Right. But if someone says, go pick me up at Seattle and bring me to Eastern Washington, I've done that, and vice versa, of course. Okay. So there's no limits. The only limit is how deep people's pockets are, because basically at that point it's hourly based service. And so if someone says, drive me to New York City one day, someone's going to say, drive me to New York, and I'll be like, let's go. Right?
So it's like Scent of a Woman, right? Wasn't that movie, right? Didn't he? Right?
It's been a long time since I've seen Scent of a Woman.
Oh, I love that movie. It's just classic. Anyway, so what types of vehicles do you have? I mean, when you pulled up today outside my house
Yeah.
to do the recording here.
That's the bougie bus.
It is a bus. I mean, it's a big black. It looks like one of those things that you see in the movies where the feds, they got these men in black, and they're just like, they're going to go in and they're going to take out, some.
I do enjoy that.
Cartel.
People who've seen us for the first time and they're like, why? I mean, I'll have UPS drivers pull up and they're like, hey, I got to ask you, man, you're looking really presidential over here. And
what is this?
I'm like, I know, that's the point. So everything I have is black. TC Black. It's not a cute name, right? All the vehicles are black. Everything is black with leather seating, right? It's top of the line stuff. What I don't currently do, and I don't plan on doing, is exceeding the 15. It's really 14 passengers plus a driver. But once you go past 15 people in a vehicle, it moves into you need a commercial.
Now you're a Greyhound
CDL.
bus driver, right?
Yeah, that's not what we do. I'm about people and I'm about relationships. Right. So I would say I've got 3 van, sprinters, transit kind of vehicles, 3 the larger SUVs, and everything I have is extended to make sure we have room for the people and luggage.
So basically 14 and under typically is
14 and under, yeah. And for groups that are larger, like just all this week we've been driving people for P&L, and it's 2 vans worth of people.
Oh, yeah. They have visitors and guests and stuff come in.
And they're going to P&L. I'm not doing this job for P&L, but they're going to P&L every day. So we're at 2 vans going out there every day. So if it's a larger group and it's just not crazy large, right? Then we just double up vehicles. It's just no big deal. Just gotta make sure I have the driver.
So do you typically like to stick with one brand of vehicle, or you have Cadillacs, you have Escalades,
Cadillac, Mercedes, Fords. I'm an anti-Chevy guy from young bias, even though of course GM is basically Chevy, right?
Right.
It's all the same. But I've been scarred since my youth and I haven't got over that hump to buy a Suburban. Yeah. But I've got GMC, Yukon XL, and of course the Cadillac Escalade, all GM products. But I'm not tied in. What I am tied in is when I get a vehicle, it has to be quality. It has to have a luxury vibe. People have talked to me before, like, oh, you should look into this, whatever the upscale Hyundai, a Genesis, right? Genesis, really nice cars, and it's basically the nice version of Hyundai, I believe.
Okay.
Much like Lexus is of Toyota. So Lexus is a recognized luxury name. Not everyone recognizes Genesis. So imagine someone calling me and they're like, "Oh, I want to take a fancy car out, take my wife out to dinner," right? And we do that. Call it out on the town.
You show up with a Genesis, they're like, "What is this?"
And what are you going to pick us up? I'm going to pick you up in a Genesis, and they're like, pass."
Right, because they don't know,
because they don't know, even though it could be better than something else, So I am somewhat a slave to the brand a little bit, especially like Escalade. Sometimes clients can be very, and this usually comes from another limo company. If I'm doing subcontracting, right, limo companies like it must be Cadillac Escalade. That's all the day. Oh, and it has just bucket seats, right? It can't be Cadillac Escalade with a bench seat in the middle, right? I mean, some people can be pretty uptight like that. So it's been a balance between the right vehicle for the business, affordability. It's a juggling act. So yes, there are some limitations. I don't just take anything that's black.
So how many employees do you currently have? I mean, I imagine it fluctuates depending on the season sometimes, whatever. But
yeah, I usually keep about, and they're contractors, subcontractors. So I have about usually keep about 10 is the sweet spot for that. I have 7 vehicles, so on a busy Saturday in the summer, they can all be out at different points of the day. So obviously, I need to have a nice stable of drivers to fill those slots. With that said, it's Tri-Cities, right? It's a part-time job. I mean, it's barely full-time for me if it wasn't for all the emailing and phone calls and planning the wine tours, things like that. So I mean, I stay busy, but as far as other drivers, I it's not a 40-hour week job for somebody. So most other people have other jobs, and with that being said, I can't pay people to be on standby, so I just have to have a list, and I'm like, oh, something just
like a substitute teacher list, right? I mean,
exactly. Go down the list. Hey, are you available for a last-minute drive tonight at 6 o'clock? Nope, I have plans with my kids. And I tell people, it's like, I respect you. I respect your plans and your life, and I know, and I will never. I will never come to you and say, no, you have to drive, because that's agreement coming in. It's like, you're a part-time, drive if you can. Now, if someone told me, no a bunch of times in a row, then obviously you move down to the bottom of the list, and maybe eventually off the list, because you don't really want to drive or have the time to drive, and we'll move on. Right.
So do any of your employees have like special accreditations or certifications or something? And I say this only because I know you've got your WSET, I think it's a 3, right?
No, just 2.
2, but Well, I mean, two's congratulations.
Thank you.
I thought about starting it and going for 1, 2, and maybe 3, and I don't know why I would. But
and I tell you, and when I did my WSET, Wine, Spirits, Education, and Trust, for anyone who wasn't aware of what that is, and it's just some baseline sommelier / wine training. I did it because I wanted to enhance my resume and my profile for giving wine tours. Give people oh wow, hire TC Black, because not just they just drive me.
They know about it.
They know about it, right? We can
Subject
have a intelligent conversation.
Expert, right?
Correct.
Subject matter expert, yeah.
And so that's why I did. I was like, oh, I can take this official course. One of my drivers, his name was Eddie. He worked out at Cole Solari for a while.
Oh, I know. Eddie.
Yeah. See,
Eddie's a buddy of mine.
I talked to Eddie into driving for me, right? And he was when he was doing WSET at the time, and I was like, oh, maybe I should do that. And he's like, at the time he had to go to Portland for the testing.
Really?
Yeah.
You can do it online now, right?
Well, you could do some stuff online, but in the end, you still have to do testing in person.
Okay.
With a few exceptions.
Yeah.
Well, I found out they were coming. They came to Mercer and Prosser.
Oh.
They're like, hey, we're gonna have a class here. I'm like,
cool. Jump on it.
I don't have to drive to Portland. I just have to go to Prosser. Let's go. So that was great to get under my belt. And I tell you what, I went in with the understanding that I was just going to enhance my knowledge of wine, and I really had no idea what it was. And what WSET 2 was, there's some baseline stuff, but I already knew most of that just from listening and paying attention and giving wine tours for 5 years at the time, right? They listened to the winemakers and the owners and even the people who knew their stuff behind the tasting bar. So I learned a lot. That's always listening and learning, being that fly on the wall if I wasn't actively engaging with them. So I knew most of that. But what WSET 2 really was talking about wines of the world, and it really focused on all of that. There was a little bit in California. So it forces you to broaden your perspective, right? And I wasn't ready for that. And day one was like, oh, mine was blown. We're talking about
I've never even tasted this type of Italian wine or this type of Spanish wine or whatever. It's like,
Yeah, and so I was like, man, how is this, like you said, what good is it going to do? How am I going to use this? And I was like, okay, fix my brain. Okay, now I'm ready to learn about the wines of Italy and learn about the wines of France and different wine regions and et cetera, et cetera. And so I learned it, and next thing you know, I'm at non-vintage wines from Tierdes there in Richmond.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm hanging out there because they had wines of the world in there.
Sure.
That was the point of the little shop. And so people came in.
I really liked it when they were open too down there.
It was great.
It was really nice.
And then I'm all of a sudden I'm just engaging in organic conversation about different wines of the world, how our wines compare to their wines, and it was just like,
and then old style winemaking and new world and old world, right?
It all came together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's like, holy crap, this training paid off. And it's not because I wasn't there getting paid, but I'm making relationships, and that's what all about my business is. And maybe one day that person was like, oh, we talked to this guy who runs transportation business, and he knew all this stuff about wine, and it was great. And you should go use him for a wine.
Well, the other thing is, it gives you a foundation to build your credibility, right? 100%. And that word credibility can be a little nebulous, but if you know enough basic knowledge about something and you can communicate about it to other people, that in and of itself gives you credibility. Now, you can be on a large spectrum of credibility worthiness, right?
But the lack of credibility, as long as you own it, can also add to credibility, right?
Yes.
If I don't know something, I'll tell you. And people ask me something, I could BS my way through it, and they wouldn't know any different. But I'll tell them, it's like, I'm not experiencing that. I don't know. But here's what I do know, right?
Yeah.
Or here's somebody who does know if it's a really important question they need to know.
Right.
Like somebody was asking me about the winemaking style at Domaine Magdalena, and I was telling a new winery that's opened on Red Mountain. And I was telling them about that. I was like, this is different. This is a whole different style, right? It's more European style. This is not your typical Red Mountain cab. And he's like, tell me more. And I was like, well, I could, but there's the winemaker right there. Why don't you go talk to her instead, right? So I gave that to let them shine. I was like, I don't need to shine here. Let's let the winemaker shine. So
cool. Well, why don't we just take a 5-second break so that you can have a taste of your Irish whiskey? Because I tell you,
yes.
I've been tasting it over here while you've been talking, and it's just opening up really nicely. It's beautiful. So I know that that you talked a little bit about your services already, but I think there are some other really important services that you offer that you didn't mention. And as a matter of fact, it's happening today, and you weren't sure maybe if we had to maybe reschedule because there was something going on that side of the service that you offer. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. One of the things that I've been blessed to engage with is organ donor transplant teams. It was one of those things where they reached out one day. It's not like I advertised on my website, hey, let me drive around doctors and boxes of kidneys or things like that, right? But they reached out to me, and apparently that's what they do is they reach out to reliable transportation options because either an ambulance isn't always available, readily available, or there are some doctors who refuse to use ambulances because they actually can be more accident prone because they run lights and sirens and they can run red lights and I have some definite stories I can tell about what that looks like.
It's time critical, right?
Oh, it is 100% time critical, yeah. And so being involved with that, and like I said, one today, those are always last minute, right? Because someone has lost their life or is about to lose their life, right? They're on life support, and they've signed to be an organ donor, and it's like time to go.
Right.
And those calls go out, and those doctors and the logistics for transportation, right? Not just driving, right? But we're talking about the private jets to pick up these doctors in Seattle. So that like a jet goes from Oregon to Seattle, picks up the doctors, flies over to here. I go pick them up on the tarmac. I roll right up to the jet. They throw out.
Oh, really? You get access. You get access to the tarmac.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the coolest parts of the job is tarmac access. We're like rolling out there next to the planes. That's super.
I like
cool,
that.
Yeah. Get a couple of gratuitous pictures.
Yeah.
And so yeah, load up the doctors, load up their equipment. Sometimes it's just boxes and coolers, and sometimes there are machines that will keep these organs going. And I tell you, the most humbling experience is driving back to a jet with a heart in a machine that's actively, you can hear it back there pumping, or a set of lungs in a lung machine, and those lungs from someone who has passed away, and their family is grieving, and I can hear those lungs going from this person who's no longer with us, and those are going to go to someone else and keep them alive for some period of years. And I tell you, it's the coolest part of my job, right? It's the most gratifying. I'm like, I'm a part of saving lives.
And death, yeah.
And it's very sobering, right? Because the death part, someone else has died, right? Someone is grieving, but maybe 3 or 4 other people are going to live, and it's super neat. So one of those teams is going right now.
Well, it's almost impossible to segue from that into something normal again. But I mean that's something that I congratulate you on doing as part of your services because again, it is really honorable. Now we got to talk about wine. Talk to me from your perspective personally. How did you get into wine, and what are some of your favorite wines and wineries?
So it's funny. I did not get into wine until I started the business. I did not drink at all. I grew up very conservative Christian roots down in Texas. And whether that was some interpretation on my own of biblical studies or where I was taught that way, whatever, over the course of my life, I grew to understand that, there's, at least in my point of view and how I interpret the Bible, nothing wrong with alcohol. It's the abuse of it that is bad. And I was like, dude, how many places in the Bible does Jesus talk about vine and branches and fruit? And make, obviously the go-to is Jesus turned water to wine, right? Right. Just cool stuff. With all that said, I was like, oh, that's great, but it's still not for me. I don't need to. I don't need to just do it because I can. I abstained just because I didn't. There was no need for it. Once I started TC Black and started giving wine tours, that's what people wanted. That was the demand. I was like, well, I guess I need to know what I'm selling. So I'm listening to people. I'm
going to have to try this Cabernet Sauvignon.
I know, Red Mountain. What is Red Mountain? I don't even know, right? And started doing some tasting and fell in love with it. A little funny backstory before that. Go back to my Navy days before. I was like, I think I just got out, but I used to always play. One of my favorite things to do is play spades, and I would play online spades. And this is back. I had from my father-in-law gave me an old Packard Bell computer that could barely connect to dial-up internet. You kids don't even know what we're talking about. Dial-up, super cool.
Right.
But it was fast enough to play spades. And I had this partner down in California that I played spades with. We had a lot of fun. We chat back and forth, and with my wife's approval, it was totally fine. Got out of the Navy, and I was like, hey, we're going to swing through California on the way back to Texas, and we're going to visit Katia. Her screen name was Leopard Lady, super edgy. We're going to visit her. It's going to be great. We're going to connect. So I met her and her husband and sat down over this nice dinner, and she poured wine for everybody, and I didn't drink. And I was like, but I had the mentality, right? It's like that it's okay. It's not wrong, but I just do it.
But this was your first experience.
First big glass of red wine, and as you might expect,
right.
It wasn't like, wow, this is the best thing ever.
It's an acquired taste. I mean,
And needless to say, I did not acquire it on that first taste. I was just kind of like, I can't. I'm sorry. And the look of hurt on her face, because she probably got out a good bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Knowing now how people that drink wine and how it socially brings people together, and how you're happy to share good wine with people. Yeah. It was probably a good wine. It's probably a nice from Napa or Sonoma or some nice red, right? And the fact that I kind of turned up my nose at it, and it's now I get it. I was like, oh my gosh, I probably hurt her so bad, and how excited she was to share that wine with me, and it had a negative impact probably because of my lack of participation. So I'm a little sad about that.
Did she beat you down the next time you played spades?
No, it was. I don't know if we played anymore.
Oh, okay, that's not good.
Right, but it's just kind of going back and revisiting that. It's like, dude, I totally get that now because, but also as a learning experience for me that I make sure I kind of vet the people before I open up a bottle of wine for guests. I kind of gauge where they're at with wine before I open up the good stuff.
That's interesting though, the way you got into it. Everybody has a different story. Some families, I mean, when you're young, like in Europe, they start people. It's just part of the meal sometimes. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so now you're drinking wine. Do you find that there are certain varietals of wine that you like more than others?
Yeah, I gravitated, and probably a disadvantage to me was cutting my wine tooth palate on Red Mountain, right? So that's how my palate was trained. Like you said, acquired taste. I acquired my taste on Red Mountain, which is good and bad, right?
Right.
Up there with the best of the best. Also, it's not cheap, right? It's a lot of boutique wineries, handcrafted, high quality. Just some of the best of the best.
Well, and they're big. They're big and they're tannic and they're bold and they slap you in the face.
And
like
that's my palate.
Left-handed,
that's my palate.
Right Mike Tyson type. Right to the face, man.
OG Mike Tyson, not Jake Paul. Mike Tyson.
No, not Jake Paul.
That's
a whole other podcast, Jake Paul.
No fact. I mean, that's for real. So yeah, I certainly gravitate towards the big tannic red. Cab's my favorite. I have Cab's Petit Verdot. If I'm going to go a little bit lighter, you see the Spanish side of things, I like a Tempranillo. I think it's pretty full bodied for a little bit lighter red. So that's definitely what I like. Yeah, Red Mountain, and I've learned that was another really good part of doing the WSET training. Is I was really locked into that. If it's not a big red cab or Bordeaux style, I'm not really interested. Give me that Carmenere. That's what I need. I need some Carmenere.
Oh yeah.
So
my wife's favorite. She loves it.
See, you give me a Rhone, I'm kind of like pass, right? But doing the WSET and learning my way through that, and it's like learn to appreciate. This is a good one, and you may not like it. But you can learn to appreciate and evaluate this because we're tasting for it seemed like 12 hours a day,
right?
And evaluate. Here's how it hits on the front and the back of the palate and the full mouthfeel, and
then it depends on what you're eating, and it depends sometimes on
pairing it.
Yeah, it depends on a lot of different things, right?
Yes,
and you can get some beautiful, like just Mourvedre alone can be just beautiful sometimes, and GSMs. Some of these GSMs are just like nectar. I mean, they're just so beautiful, and they're. And they're lighter bodied, right? Because we get used to these cabs on Red Mountain, and they're like I said, they're heavy, they're bold, and they really shake you when you drink them. It's like, man, you know what you're getting, and it's just lingers forever, right on your palate.
I love that long.
But that's not the way the Rhone styles are. Really.
Correct.
I mean, Syrah can have some body.
Yeah, is the biggest of the Rhone for sure.
But anyway, I feel your pain. It's not really pain though. It's kind of a double-sided.
Yeah. But I'm better now, and certainly when it's most. If I'm gonna sit down with the glass, I'm still gonna go with the Bordeaux for an intentional. I'm just gonna sit there and have a glass of wine, right? But I definitely way more intentional about pairing with food now, right? If I'm gonna have a very Italian, right, lasagna or spaghetti or something, right? You gotta have a Sangio. You gotta have some lighter style,
Barbera, something, and
not just hit the big cab. It just doesn't work near as well at all.
So what about wine clubs? Do you have any?
I do. Yeah.
Any wineries that you like?
So here, it's a good problem to have, I guess. I mean, so I visited I think probably every red mountain winery, most in the Prosser area, Yakima Valley.
Yeah.
There's so many in Walla Walla. I've done a lot in Walla Walla, but not Walla Walla.
Love Walla Walla too.
I got a lot to go still. You can't join them all, right?
Right.
Limited budget, and I have like zero cellar space. I may have some stuff shoved under my thing. So I had to go when it came to club members. I didn't join just to join, right? I joined because I like the wine. Sure, you get a bit of a discount, but I didn't even really join for discount. I mean, it's not about that. It's about the people. For me, I'm a very people person. That's how my business operates, and so the same operate with the wineries, right? I want relational. So I had great relationships with these wineries, and I of course love their wine. And then the additional wine club benefit. Different clubs offer different things. Some people, hey, join a club and you get a discount. Some people just join a club, and like with one I'm a member at, Anilari, you get use of their winery facility at no charge once a year.
That's cool.
Yeah, so have an event, have a party. I had a driver party a couple years ago. We're like, hey, I want to have a Christmas party out here. So, boom. I had it hosted at a winery for no charge, right? I paid for staffing and pizzas to have people there, but I didn't pay anything for that building.
Well,
yeah, super cool.
Frechette used to do that. When I first became a club member there at Frechette, and I still am.
Shay.
No, they used to do that. I think they changed that policy now only because their club has grown. I'm not sure for 100%, but they used to allow, club members to, if you give them enough time and reserve it, you can do it after hours for 3 hours or so, 6 to 9.
And Frechette is also my other club membership, and so
great people,
great people. They have great events, and they're only getting better with their events. A really cool thing we just did.
We are very pro Frechette here at Aaron's Wine
Well,
Chronicles.
I didn't see you at the Shaw event.
No, you didn't.
That was spectacular.
Yeah.
So we were the first ever, I don't know if public group is the right word, but group that wasn't a specific, hey, these are just like winemakers or something.
Right.
That went up to Dick Shaw's place, like the Shaw. It was like a building, tasting room, event center up on Red Mountain, overlooking all their vineyards up there. And we were the first group, so we're up there enjoying every Shaw that Frechette had left, they had sold out of over the years, and we're there in the Shaw vineyards and enjoying the view. We can look down and see Victor Palencia. Hi, Victor.
Oh yeah,
how's it going? Right. So that was just a super cool experience. Because Shaw cab, my favorite Frechette cab. It's good job.
Really?
Yeah. My palate is Shaw. My wife is Quintessence.
Yeah.
She is
Quintessence.
Yeah.
What about Greg makes the daily cab?
Daily cab. I've got an open bottle on my.
Really love the daily cab too, though.
But of course, that's also because the last shipment they didn't have any Shaw available, so that's why.
Okay. So in general, now with your business, how has the wine industry reacted to your business? Have they been supportive of it? And if so, who are some of the more supportive places that you go to that really are your friends of TC Black, right?
So 100% supportive, and that's because, again, relationships. I listened. I'm showing up with smaller groups already because of the nature of my business. I'm not showing up with a stretch limousine. I'm not showing up with a giant party bus. That's a thing, right? There are some companies that will just show up with a bachelorette party unannounced, and they all waltz in and like, hey, we're here to have a good time. And imagine that on a Saturday in July at, say, Frechette, right? Yeah. And I've seen it happen.
That's tough on any winery.
Yeah.
And when I talk to the wineries, one of the things that they just don't look forward to are those parties of the bridal showers or whatever.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I totally understand that those people, but you want to go have a good time, but God, you got to prepare for it.
Yeah, you have to. And then if you're not staffed to handle it,
yes,
it's tough, man.
And now everyone's getting robbed. If they say yes and let that group in, and now the small business person who's in there, it could be a great relationship for them to have, and I've been waiting 20 minutes for my next pour, and they're not getting served. And like, you know what? Let's just go to a different winery, right? Yeah. It doesn't serve anyone well. So one thing I learned really quick off the bat, April Redout, who was the manager at Cole Solari, she
we all know and love April.
Hi April.
Yep.
She really helped me through my initial stages of the business. She's like, hey, here's what you're doing good. You dress nice. You dress the part. It's already. Here's what we need as a winery, right? Mm-hmm. We want a heads up. We want a reservation. We want to know how many people. We want to know are these people potentially serious? I mean, I don't always divulge. I don't always know. Are people going to join a club? Or are they just there to taste and leave? And both are okay.
Yes.
But sometimes you just got to know what's appropriate to take people to. So if I know people are like, hey, we would never spend more than $20 on a bottle of wine, I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure I can take you anywhere on Red Mountain, but maybe we can go to somewhere else. So it's about knowing your people, knowing where you can take them. So learning what the wineries needed and accommodating them has done wonders for our relationships.
I just know that there was a time for me as a customer of wineries, and I used to go out a lot more than I typically do right now. But I used to go by wineries, and if I drive by and I see a limo or a big bus out in front, I'll just keep driving. Yeah. And I go to a different winery, and then sometimes I'll circle around and come back, and once it's gone, I'll pop in. If it's a place that I really want to go to.
I think that actually happened last week, and we had the old bougie bus out there parked, and someone's like, oh, okay, we'll go somewhere else next. But when they came back and ready, we were still at that location, so they came in anyway. And then they saw what we're doing and how we were doing it, and they're like, okay, this is not just some crazy party, people going crazy. Because I respect the wineries, and I respect their staff, and I respect the owners. And so I always say my my clients, right, the paying clients are 1A because they put food on my table and keep me stocked in wine clubs, right? Because that helps me to live with a paycheck. My wineries are client 1B, and it's like, so I'm trying to keep both people happy at the same time. So if my client says, hey, we want to extend an hour, we want to hit another winery, I would not just show up. So what I do,
let me make some reservations.
I'm going to either make a phone call,
make a phone call,
or if it's like we're on the road, it's like, okay, we'll pull in here, stay in the vehicle, and I will go in and check, because it's awkward, embarrassing for everyone if, again, the party, whether it's 4 people or 10 people, and they walk up to the door and they get turned away, that's embarrassing, right? Especially if the room's full of people. So we want to avoid that. So let me go in, let me take care of the dirty work, and if they can't support it, then we'll go somewhere else, right? So doing that over the years, the wineries know that I bring valuable clients, people who are going to be respectful, who are going to buy wine, and so.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's been a number of times when I've been there and you've come in and you're working and you've got your clients there, and we sat like where were we in Prosser the other day, and you pulled up to the bar there, and I was in
Wautoma Springs.
Yeah, and you walked in. We were chatting a little bit there, but that's happened a number of times. So it's a great segue to the next question. So what sets TC Black apart from other routine, typical transportation services?
Well, I mean, there's obviously lots of different options between other limo companies or Uber and Lyft and even the taxis. I'd say from a business aspect, what makes us different is the fact that, so we're locally owned and operated, right? So your money's not going to some big corporate person in San Francisco or Seattle or Portland, right? I mean, TC Black, I'm the owner operator, and I've been Tri-Cities resident since 2001. So I'm invested in the community. And when I say invest in the community, I mean it, right? I support our local charities. I support our local law enforcement. I'm a big supporter of our police forces and what they do, and try to encourage them in some of their darker days. I love partnering with the small businesses here. I love relationships, right? Especially when it's people that it's like a symbiotic relationship, right? Like wedding planners, right? Well, I do getaway cars, so I work with them, and part of me making them look good is to show up when I'm supposed to be there with the correct vehicle, and I'm rolling out the red carpet for the bride and the groom, or I'm there with the van to shuttle their guests back and forth. Whether it's a chocolate provider. Rest in peace, Bombs Chocolates. They used to provide our chocolates. So now I use Brights out of Walla Walla.
Right.
I use Tyrtis for my champagne. So those are direct small businesses. But even other things like tinting windows in vehicles, or if my vehicle gets a door ding, or we had a couple times where people have run into my vehicles. We've never been at fault for anything, but we've been. I got to get repairs.
The other day I saw that where you had 2 down or something. It's in the same.
We got hit by a drunk driver, so which is kind of
crazy.
Ironic, seeing as how sometimes that's what we're called to do is to keep you from drunk driving, and then we get taken out by drunk drivers. It's like, there's some weird karma here.
No kidding. Well, it sounds to me like you've had a really nice trajectory of growth and success with TC Black over the last 6 to 7 years. What is your favorite service that you most enjoy providing?
The favorite, without a doubt, it's actively doing the wine tour. The planning of that can be a bit of a grind where I'm balancing the needs of the client, right? We can only do it this day and this time. Okay.
Right. So there's certain limits, and then now you got to make it work.
Now I got to call the wineries. Oh, well, we're completely booked at noon, right? So, okay, so now I got to move here. Oh, well, they want to have lunch. Okay, so now I got to try to fit lunch in here. So that's a bit of a process. In fact, I've still got 2 that were last minute bookings for this weekend. I still have to do, and it's kind of hanging over my head like, I got to get it done, But when I'm there, when I'm actively doing it, right? So I'm doing 2 of my favorite things, right? I'm engaging with people. I love driving, right? I love interacting with people and building those relationships, and then I love wine. So we get to talk about wine, and so giving a wine tour is
the only
really
bad thing about that is that you can't drink the wine with them while you're touring them.
That's correct.
I know. I mean, and that's the. I mean, yeah.
But
that's all I can say.
I take out my aggression on that bottle of wine when I get home.
There you go.
That, right?
But do you ever just go out and do some wine tasting?
I do
on your own.
Yeah, especially if I have a day off where I'm not actively driving, maybe somebody else doing some stuff, and I'll have to intentionally get out. And it's like I need to go here, or I've been hearing about this. Yeah, it's like when Domaine Magdalena just opened up. Right? It's like I need to get out there because I don't want to just take people. I could just show up and take people there and say, hope for the best, right? But it's like, let me get there. Let me see the experience. Let me know what they offer. Let me taste the wines. And now I can know, I was like, oh, wow, that was crappy service and their wine was garbage, right? Or it's like, okay, I know this is a lighter style. And if these people tell me we only like big, bold reds, I might not go there, right? So I need to know ahead of time. So yeah, I want to advanced scouting.
We did chat a little bit at one point, and if you want to go to Walla Walla sometime, we should think about doing that. Not when you're on the job, but when you're off the job, because there are a ton of different places that if you go as a customer with me and we talk to, we'll talk to the winemakers, we'll talk to the people, and you can start getting some other ideas of where to take people in Walla Walla.
I would love that.
Top notch and great quality. The thing is distance, right? It's just distance, and so you got to factor that in.
Yeah, it's not a big deal for me because I'm on the road just about all day, every day. So yeah, an hour to I'm Walla Walla all the time. I do if I'm not doing a wine tour in Walla Walla, I'm picking up someone in the airport and taking them to the Marcus Whitman, or picking them at the Marcus Whitman at 5 a.m. and bringing them back to the Tri-Cities airport because poor Walla Walla airport only gets there 2 flights a day or whatever. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, we're at a point now where I think this is like one of my favorite parts of the interview for this podcast. I know that when you are out there providing your wine tours and the drive times between tasting rooms are a little bit longer, you get that chance to engage with your clients. You got one-on-one time where you get to know them on a more personal level. And, especially after a few tastings, people tend to open up a little bit, right? And things tend to get a little bit more memorable. So my question to you is, do you have any stories to tell about some of the more interesting clients or wine tours or folks that you have transported around as part of TC Black? Can you take us through maybe your top 3 memorable experiences?
Sure. Wine tour wise, and I always tend to keep most stories internal, kind of that Vegas mantra of what happens here stays here, kind of a deal.
Right.
And I could say things without divulging names. But most things, again, I'm looking for intimate relational kind of things, not like, hey, how can I make you speak whale? Did that with a guy when I was Ubering one time. Yeah, he was high on mushrooms and I had I heard whales when I was gathering mushrooms in the forest. I'm like, oh, really? I was like, what did they sound like? And he's like, oh, it's like, you got to tell me, right? And he was, ooh, yeah. That was a great trip, right? So, there were some crazy Uber stories.
Right.
But TC Black, a little more refined, a little higher class of people.
Right.
I mean, not that you can't be high class and do mushrooms and speak whale. I guess that's kind of judgy, so I didn't mean that, sorry. But yeah, so the wine tours, I really love the fact when people have gone through and be like, we've been wine tasting all over the world, and this has been the best experience that we've ever had. And it's not talking about just the wine, but the experience as a whole. And that really speaks to me. And if I can shout out to Red Mountain, I mean, I've had people talk about that, again, have tasted all over the world and have said, Red Mountain, top 5% in the world, period, right? So it's really cool. So it's not just like we're over here thinking we're the best of the best. It's like, yeah, other people think so too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But one thing I've been super blessed to do, and I've tried to implement this in some previous times with what I call like a celebrity dinner, where I get to let local people meet some like local celebrities, is that celebrity aspect, right? Something I get to do that I never would have done is when you get those VIPs in town, whether it's special speakers or whether it's a concert or TV shows or whatever, which I'll get into in a minute. Is that celebrity stuff that most of us don't get to interact with. So it's been neat. I'm not a celebrity person like, ooh, let me get your autograph. But the experience as a whole is something that's different and neat to experience. So like Santana, right? Santana came down, did a concert here. Is an all-time freaking legend on guitar. Right? I mean,
right. He was at Woodstock.
He came to Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like,
why though? Why would he be in the Tri-Cities?
Well, so he was maybe. I'm just assuming here. This was the kickoff to it. I don't remember the name of the tour. This was a couple years ago, but we were the very first stop. So maybe he was, he used the Tri-Cities to get the kinks out. Right?
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe it was our larger. I don't know if because he's Hispanic, I assume if he has a Hispanic more following. I don't know, and we have a pretty good Hispanic base here. I don't know, but I got to drive him. So when he flew in his private jet, roll out there, into the Escalade, off we go. We got to drive him around while he was here, and driving a legend like that, and he's right there, right? He's right there, right? Yeah. And which is neat. Again, I'm not like fawning celebrity stuff, but it's for somebody like that, that's an honor, right? It's just not like, you're a cool celebrity. It's like, he's a titan in the industry.
Right.
And then, as part of the gig, and I'm sitting there, getting paid to be a driver, and now I'm on standby, and I'm like backstage for sound checks. And then I'm backstage for the entire concert, like backstage being like on the side of the stage, and they're staring. And the Santana concert was spectacular. I mean, holy moly, that was wild. And then as we leave, the windows rolled up, and the people are lined up trying to get touch me or say hi or sign me or whatever. Right? And his windows are all up, and he's being very gracious, and he's back there being like, thank you, but he's not rolling down the window engaged because people will be crawling in the escalator, right?
Exactly.
So off we go. So I kind of got to see a little bit of here's what it's like to have that celebrity status and not have any kind of privacy. So that was really neat. Oh,
man, Santana, that's great.
Santana, yeah, that was one of my bigger VIPs. I kind of keep a little running list just for my own recollection or whatever. And then one we have from a couple years ago, doing the Golden Bachelor when Faith Martin was on that, and I think she just did another Bachelor thing that just came out again. But that was a lot of fun being a part of the TV crew and getting to shuttle around. I mean, so we had SUVs in service, we had vans in service for the camera crew. We had one SUV for Faith. We had one SUV for the Golden Bachelor himself. And we're driving around town and seeing how the television, seeing how the production operated, and now really getting a glimpse and the backside of Hollywood, if that makes sense. On when they called me, it wasn't. I mean, it was within a month of production, right? It was so last minute-ish. Maybe it was even 2 weeks. I don't know.
Really?
And like here's their list of demands and what they needed, and then like the last minute changes. And when in the news when you hear here's a story, and we reached out to Aaron Diaz for comment, and he did not immediately reply, and then they published a story.
Right.
It's like there's no time to wait, right? It's like everything is now, and it's all very, very last minute, very hectic, and it was weird to observe that as it's going on. But being there kind of behind the scenes, so we're like all parked on the street when Faith and Jerry are doing like their final thing, and I'm kind of like watching and watching the rearview mirror. Maybe I might have had my iPhone out, like recording. Oh yeah. The mirror. So I'm in one vehicle. I had one of my other drivers that drove Jerry in like the final getaway, which was super cool seeing a TC Black Escalade on freaking ABC television driving off. I'm like, that's my car. Unfortunately, they covered up my personalized license plate.
Did they really?
They did. Yeah, that was all part of the thing. They covered the license plate, which said TC Black 2 on it.
Right.
I'm like, that would have been. But it was still neat. It's like, dude, I mean, as seen on TV, TC Black, right? So,
were you in the credits?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't in the credits.
No, I was just a helper. Just a helper. Right. Which I'm okay. That's kind of part of the business is being a servant. Right. I don't want to degrade myself too much, but I'm happy to play that part. Typically when I'm driving clients, it's a very personal relationship, but every once in a while you get a super VIP or maybe they think they're a super VIP, or maybe an executive or some millionaire CEO or whatever, and they're very you don't talk to them, you don't look at them, right? They do their own thing, and it's like, I'm okay being the help. I understand that is my role. That is what I've chosen to do in the transportation service. And I can, if you want me to be the help, I'll be the help. If you want me to be your best friend, which is what I always hope to be, I want to be your best friend at the end of the wine tour. That's my favorite thing. So, but I don't force myself in. So, yeah. Cool. And then top number one, it'll never beat Shaquille O'Neal. That's for a fact. So
Shaquille O'Neal. How did he get it? Was he in that huge van?
He was in not I didn't have that one yet. But he wasn't a sprinter. He needed the headroom. Imagine that, and some leg room too. So it was hilarious. I got the call from some other random limo company. Hey, I got somebody flying into Moses Lake. Pick him up, take him to the gorge.
Whoa. So it was to the gorge, but he flew into Moses Lake.
Flew into Moses Lake to go to the gorge. Well, your only options really are Moses Lake or Wenatchee, I think, for the closest airports to get into the gorge. Unless you're landing in a helicopter, that'd be super cool too. So he flies in Moses, and so I'm sitting there on the had no idea what I was picking up. I assumed, I looked at the headliner list. I was like, I'm assuming I'm driving a performer, and I'm like, it was like an EDM. Beyond Wonderland.
Oh, okay.
Not typically my style of music, so I was like, I don't know any of these people, and I was like, and there was somebody that was at the top. I don't remember their name now, but I was like, Zed. I was like, I've heard of Zed. I must be getting Zed, right? It's probably Zed. So I'm sitting there waiting on the tarmac, and the people who run the FBO, which is the private side of the airport, which really all Moses Lake really is. He's like, we're it's their FBO is part of a nationwide thing, so it's almost like a franchise. Mm-hmm. So they have people in their system. They know the planes, they know the tail numbers.
Right.
They know, hey, Aaron Diaz loves to have a yellow dot 12-year Scotch when he flies, right?
So
they would have that.
They'd have
ready.
a bottle ready.
Yeah. So they've got a database.
Wow.
Right? And so I'm saying, it's like, yeah, that's Shaq's plane. I'm like, Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
who's Shaq? I mean, when you say Shaq, there's only one
there's
Shaq.
only one Shaq, right? And I was like, why would he must be someone else must be flying on his plane to go to the concert. Little did I know that apparently after the NBA, one of Shaquille O'Neal's side quests is being a DJ. So if you didn't know, Shaq is DJ Diesel. So he was going to perform. So I pick up Shaq, and I'm like, so he flies in. Still at this point, I didn't know. I didn't know he was a DJ.
And he was actually performing at the concert.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right? So I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's like, here's a bunch of people getting off the plane. I don't know. Yeah, those are just his people. And the last one off the plane lumbers out.
Once
like,
you see him, man,
holy crap,
like,
that's Shaq.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I find out, he loads up into the Sprinter and off we go.
Be damned.
We go to some tiny little town north of Quincy where we met up with our police escort, who then made sure and got us, trouble-free into the gorge. And so he was going to perform at the gorge, and so I sat. I'm getting in the vehicle, and I'm like, okay, this is super duper high profile. I'm just going to stay back, make sure I don't get in anybody's way or get in trouble. And the manager, which is I think it's like his cousin or something, he's like, yeah, come on. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Really?
So I'm hanging out backstage with
just like you did with Santana. You're back there with Shaq.
Well, so it's like now backstage at the gorge means you're in the back of a bunch of like trailers.
Okay.
Trailers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so hanging out with again a bunch of EDM artists and people dressed as such, like a bunch of anime characters. It was kind of fun. It really was. Running around, I didn't know who any of them were. We're like, oh, whatever. I'm back here with the cool kids. And then it's time for him to go on stage. And so he's on. There's like 3 stages going. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're going to drive to his stage. We load back up in the vehicle. We drive around to his stage. We get in, and again, once again, his manager's like, come on. I'm like, I guess I had to I had to go like up the stairs and backstage, like on stage, backstage. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm like literally backstage, right? I can see through the curtain, see the crowd all out there, and he kind of gets going, and then again, the manager's like, come on. I'm kind of like,
no.
What do you mean? Come on.
Is he calling you on to the stage?
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay. And there were a few other people that were already out there. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of wander out there, and I'm in my typical attire, which is this plus a suit jacket, right? And so now I'm on stage with Shaquille O'Neal, who's up there doing his DJ thing, and big video monitors and smoke and laser lights and people and crowd surfing and all that you might expect at an EDM concert at the Gorge. Right. And I'm up there, and I'm like, this is super cool and super awkward. I don't know what to do, so I'm kind of like nodding my head back and forth, and I'm like, I'm on stage with Shaq, right? And took a couple of videos to prove it happened, and then when he was all done, we loaded back up into the Sprinter and took our police escort, and 90 miles an hour down I-90 back to Moses Lake, and then off they flew. The only celebrity I've ever said, let's take a picture. Only because, and again, it's because I try to be respectful of everyone and not be a fanboy. It's like I'm here to help. I'm just a driver. You're just a guy. Or you're just a lady. Whatever. It's all good. But it's Shaq. He's like the largest person on the planet, right? Who doesn't know Shaq? I mean, so I was like, he does this for a living, shaking people's hands and stuff. So I was like, hey, can I get a picture? And he's like, yeah, of course, right? So I got
Oh yeah.
Me normally
like your head is where his belly button is,
Yeah, and his hand just like swallowed mine.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. So yeah, it's my one and only celebrity photo that I've ever had with Shaq before he flew off.
He's a really likable guy.
He was,
he just seems to be when you see him on TV. And
he was a little irritable that night. I think he wanted to be on he thought he was going to be on the bigger stage. But I think he had not shown up for a couple years in a row.
Oh, okay.
And so they're like, if you show up, you can be on the other stage. And so I think he was a little perturbed. So he wasn't quite as jovial as when he was on TV, but still super nice guy and a great crew, right? And there was nothing pretentious. Everyone, again, obviously, when they invited me on stage, right? So, experience that'll be memorable forever. Obviously,
man. Those are some really memorable experiences, man. I'll tell you, that's cool, and it's not stopping anytime soon. I mean, you're going to have other stories to tell here in another few years. I'm sure.
I hope so.
Well, David, my final question to you is: in the next 5 years or so, where do you see yourself and TC Black?
I've taken this business as it's come to me. I've tried to kind of meet the demand and grow without any sort of, I don't know, even goals is a hard thing to say, right? I didn't go in and say, here's where I want to be. I've just I saw a need, I saw a demand. And then as that demand grew, so did my service. So I want to go as the service goes, and I don't want to artificially have a business. I'm not here to, dang it, use TC Black or else, right?
Right.
I mean, if there's not a need for my service, or if the service becomes, if I can't work with it because of cost, then it'll go away, and I'll be okay with it. If someone else, if a competitor came along and did it better than me, then you take over, because I care about the people, and I want people to be happy and pleased and taken care of. And if somebody can do better than me, then power to them. In the meantime, I'm going to try to do the best that I can and keep everybody happy. So to say where I'm going to be in 5 years, I don't know. Fuel prices, insane. Who knows where they're going to go? Taxes, self-driving cars, all that goes along with transportation.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I've tried not to burn any bridges in my life. So I'd love, again, this is my passion. I love doing it. I love being a small business owner, and I love driving, and I love people. So this means the world to me. And so the business itself will say whether or not it's sustainable. So if it continues to grow, I will grow with it. If it shrinks, I'll shrink with it. If it's not sustainable here, it's not like I might not even say I'd be forced to go somewhere else. I don't know that I would move it somewhere else, because of the relationships that I've made here with the wineries and the small businesses.
Yeah.
That's very valuable to me. So all that to say is we'll see. I'm not worried about it. If we grow, great. If we were to happen, if we go away, that's fine too. I'm going to trust in God's plan and say, yeah, maybe I'll go back to the nuclear industry, whatever. But I hope I'm here doing what I'm doing now on a bigger scale, and more people know about TC Black. I always figured it's like, if everybody in Tri-Cities knew who we are and what we offer, that I would be triple the size, because people, oh wow, I didn't know I could do that. But there's still so many people I run across to be like, oh, well, what's that? What does that mean? Oh, I didn't know we had that service here. So, getting my name out there. So something like this is an honor to be here, because this is cool. We'll reach a few new people with this, so that's neat. So I'm excited to see what happens. Again, I think we provide an amazing service that once people get a little taste of it, then they're not going back, right?
Right.
If somebody uses us for airport service to go on their Hawaiian vacation, and realize that now the vacation starts when we show up to pick them up, and it ends when we drop them off, that there's nothing for them to worry about. They don't have to stress about transportation or parking. It's like they're getting dropped off at the curb. And then when they get home on that midnight flight on Alaska or Delta, they can just hop in a car and just pass out. Hey, guess what? You're home now. Let me help you with your luggage. Get it to the door. I mean, how cool is that? It's supposed to get up. Where did I park my car? And oh no, that now the battery's dead. And oh no, someone backed into me at the airport. It's like, let all your troubles melt away. Just kick back and enjoy your Fiji water. And or if you want to bring scotch with you, fine. You can drink in the vehicles too. Just don't spill it. It's fine.
The one thing that is constant is change. You know that. And the thing is, I think that you're in a real good position to be able to continue to evolve and change with the times and with the needs of the Tri-Cities. I think you've got some endless horizons in front of you if you decide to push yourself and continue to do what you're doing.
Thanks for that encouragement.
Wish you all the best of luck in moving forward. I don't see anybody in your way right now. And I think what you're doing for the wine industry is outstanding stuff.
Thanks, Aaron. And I'm always open to feedback. If you ever have anything, and I love partnering with people, partnering with wineries or other small businesses.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do, if we can lift each other up, hey, let's do this package kind of deal. I'm all in. Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, David, I've learned a lot today about your history, your business, your thoughts, and your perspectives on future direction for TC Black. The Tri-Cities area has been in dire need of a business that caters to people's luxury transportation needs, while at the same time accommodating those specific itineraries that are focused on the wine industry and those types of experiences. I wish you great success in the coming years, and I really appreciated the opportunity to host you today. It's been a really good podcast. Before we go, this is an opportunity for you to remind the audience again about TC Black, give it a plug, and talk about anything you want to about the business. Well,
I guess, for the most of the audience, the typical transportation needs are going to be, airport and wine tours for the most part. Again, my passion is to take the stress off of you. People call for a wine tour and they're like, hey, what do we have to do? Do we give you the list of wineries? It's like, you don't have to do anything, right? You tell me what kind of wine you like, or what kind of experience you want. I will plan the whole thing and gladly do it. Again, it's a bit of a grind, but it's a grind that I'm willing to do for you so that you can just relax, right? So at the end of the day, my goal is for you to be in a better place than you were when we started. And that was my goal. I was an Uber driver too. It's like point A to point B. That's not what I do. When you get to point B, you're like, wow, I'm a happier person now. I'm in a better situation than back here when I was at point A before you left. So goal is the best transportation ever, the best wine tour ever, the best Oregon transportation team ever, whatever's needed. I'm here for you. And if you got something new, if there's something new that I'm not doing that needs wheels, let's talk about it. Here to help.
And you're adding that personal emphasis to it as well.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that,
there's a connection that you're making with
I don't
your
have an
clients,
interest in
sponsor.
just like if we operated like a limo service where you have like that divider.
Right.
Not a chance I would do it.
Well, David, I'd like to thank you again for joining us on Live the Good Life. That's all we have for today's episode. Again, for more of Living the Good Life, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Aaron's Wine Chronicles or online at aaronswinechronicles.com. And for a video podcast version of this episode, visit my YouTube channel at the @ Aaron's Wine Chronicles 6666. Thank you all for listening, and remember, wherever you go, whenever you can, always live the good life. Until next time.
Cheers.